22 West. We are 22 West Radio, the next wave of K-Beats. 22 West Radio is 22westmedia.com and 88.1 FM KKJZ HD3 Long Beach, Los Angeles. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Golden Spotlight, and I'm your host, Rob Flores. Welcome to 22 West Radio. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, if this is your very first time tuning into the Golden Spotlight, a brief background about this show is, think of it as a biography show. Every week I bring you someone new, and I'll have them share their life story, because I always like to think we students would like to hear the journey. We want to hear the origin stories. How did you get to where you are today in your career? Because chances are there's a student out there that they want a particular career, or they totally relate to this particular guest, and they want to know some tips also. And they want to know how they got to where they are today. So at this point, I would like my guest to please introduce yourself.
My name is Mallory Fuccella, and I am an actor and comedian in Los Angeles.
So the first thing I like to do is have my guests start off with, like, what was life growing up? Did you have any siblings? What were your parents like?
Yeah, it was good. I grew up on the East Coast in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Shout out Bucks County. I was raised Catholic. That I think definitely still pervades today. It's okay. I'm not Catholic anymore is what I meant by that. I have an older sister and a younger brother. And yeah, I'm right in the middle, kind of the black sheep. But growing up really good. My parents are so great. I love them so much. They are, pretty structured, pretty conservative, but a nice way to grow up, definitely. It's so funny. My brother's in town right now. We were just talking about this. It was good, mostly good. But so my brother and sister used to, they weren't ganging up on me, but they used to hang out all the time. And I don't know if I was weird or what, but I remember specifically waking up one day and I walked out of my room and they had built this amazing fort together, and I guess overnight. And I was like, oh, that's so cool, guys. Can I come in? And I wasn't invited in. It's so sad. But no, but overall, I feel like there's a little bit of an age gap. So my sister and I are 2.5 years apart, and then Den and I are 5 years apart. So, yeah, I don't know. We're night and day, my sister and I. We would have the same teachers in middle school and stuff, and they would be like, I can't believe you guys are from the same parents. She's very science-minded, yeah, very science, math person, and I have zero of those skills or interest. I like space, though.
Cool. So, speaking of life as a student, let's start off with elementary. What was elementary like for you?
Okay, oh yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. This is good. So, let's see, kindergarten. First day of kindergarten, had a really hard time leaving my mom. I remember that. I met a girl named Elizabeth Roach in the kitchen. There was a kitchen playset in kindergarten. This show's gonna be now 4.5 hours. We were talking about how, life story has... No, okay, I should speed it up a little bit. So I met Elizabeth Roach and a girl named Erin Kovar my first day of kindergarten. Erin and I are still friends today. And then I learned how to read pretty fast in kindergarten. And then, I went to Catholic school, so that's the most important probably. So from kindergarten to 6th grade, I was in Catholic school, so we would go to that religion class and go to church every Sunday, or every Friday rather, and then I'd have to go twice a week. So yeah, let's see. In 1st grade, I was student of the week in Mrs. Fisher's class, which was a very big deal. It was on the announcements and everything. 2nd grade, I developed a major fear of throw up in Mrs. Murley's class. I'll just give the highlights of each year. Is that good?
Okay.
If you have any questions, you can, jump in. 3rd grade, I developed, so yeah, fear of throw up. 2nd grade, 3rd grade, OCD. My teacher made me very nervous, and I developed this weird finger pattern, and my parents took me to a childhood psychologist, and they were like, she's just very nervous and has a lot of anxiety, and that's still not fixed. 4th grade, My best friend gets cast as Mary in the in the Christmas show, and I was like, "Oh, I'm an actress though. Like I should be Mary. No one else wants to be Mary here." And they was picked out of a hat. There weren't even auditions. I was so mad. And so she was Mary, 4th grade. But we patched that up. Okay, let's see. 5th grade, got my first D in a class. Yeah, it really starts to, my life starts to fall apart after 5th grade, I guess. No, I'm just kidding. No, 5th grade I also got cast in my first big show in a theater back east, so that was exciting. I had to miss school for matinees. 6th grade, I felt like I don't really want to go to Catholic school anymore. Parents and I had a big talk, moved to middle school, a public school. So then I moved into 7th grade at a public school, did radio, and did communications and media stuff all through middle school. Okay, so now we're at, how much, should I slow down, should I speed up?
Tell us about that radio side.
Yeah, I think that was 7th grade. Yeah, Lenape. So I went to Lenape Middle School, and a great teacher of mine was like, well, I know you want to do acting, but here's another avenue for you. I'm going to create this. And yeah, so I was the host of this show called Lenape Live, and we did morning announcements for the whole middle school. Do you remember Justin Guarini from American Idol? Season 1? That's okay. He's a nobody. But I interviewed him. I interviewed him in 8th grade. That was exciting. Yeah, so we would go in every morning and do the morning announcements, and then yeah, that was so fun. I don't know well, I guess high school happened and I tried, it was a little bit different in high school, the radio station and the media station there. I was also doing theater, like a ton of shows, right? And then, yeah, middle school years, they're tough. Would you agree, Rob?
Did you deal with bullies?
Yeah, I did. I guess I can say names, and if she's listening, yeah, this girl Trina Drexler said I didn't have a neck. And I was like, because I won this, okay. Oh, I tried, I'm a people pleaser, right? This, probably why I'm here today. And I maybe that bothered her, whatever. I won this friendly award or something. And when I was going to get the award, yeah, I heard her behind me. She was like, why did she get that? She has no neck. And then all her friends laughed. The popular girls. I don't like middle school, so do you have any middle schoolers listening to this? Probably only college kids. It gets so much better. That's all I have to say. Middle school is tough. And then, oh yeah, I also did make a big decision in middle school whether or not to do cheerleading or acting. So I had to, I chose acting. Let's go to high school. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes, that's where we are, 10th grade. Yeah, God, it flies by now. I feel like I'm 90. High school was good. No, I had a good time in high school. Did a ton of theater. Things at home were good. I was still a good kid until senior year. Started getting into trouble. Not really. I just one time my mom couldn't find me. And so she tried to file a missing persons report on me. But you have to be missing for over 24 hours. And I was only missing for 14. My poor mother, though. I totally understand why she was scared now. Yeah, I became a little bit of a bad egg. But only to, I was stuck in the confines of my parents and of Catholic school, I was trying to discover myself before college so that I could go to college and be like, I'm going to nail this. I'm going to nail college. I'm going to know myself in and out. So yeah, not really. I didn't get into that much trouble. I graduated on time. I skipped class once. I skipped class. Yeah, this is a good overview plus some very specific stories. This is also therapy for me. I'm like, wow, I haven't thought about the Trina Drexler comment in so long. But yeah, she's a little bit of a bully. There was another bully on the school bus too. His name was Ed O'Learchick. I'll just call out all my elementary school buddies. Yeah, he told me I had a unibrow, so then I was like, Mom, what do we do about this? She was like, well, you do have one, so let's handle this. So yeah, so I got my eyebrows waxed. But yeah, so high school, tons of theater. Okay, so yeah, then I feel like everyone's at this point where you're what am I going to do with my life? That question, though, will come up over and over and over again. and I'm just here to say that that's okay. But so I was like, am I really going to pursue this, or am I going to go into something that might be a little bit more steady, more stable? I had a great acting teacher in high school, Shawn Wright, and she, inspired me to keep going and keep working, that you have something, keep it up, something will happen, and here I am today.
Cool.
Yeah.
We'll get right back into it after this quick break.
Great. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. Too fast? Too slow?
We'll get into the high school, like, what was next right now. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Not only that, each year more than 1,500 students are served by disabled student services, leaving no barriers in their path to an education. At the beach, we know no barriers. It's a philosophy that applies to everything we do.
Is that also?
That's you now, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Did you know that
It's
the
also
survivors are often blamed
it's all
and feel
filming?
ashamed about their
That one's
assault?
on, yeah.
In
But
fact,
that one
survivors
disappears though.
who have broken
okay.
their silence
After
and
it's
support
on.
victims
Okay.
who have yet
Yeah,
to
that
find
one I
their
just-
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's for you. So you got
Campus
three cams
sexual assault
Yeah,
victims
yeah,
advocate
yeah.
services
Dope,
are located
dude.
at the
What a
Women's
setup. And then that one.
The Wi-Fi was working. I could
102.
use
And we
Periscope. But what I
contacted
do
at
is, like, I'll film
562-985-2668.
bits and pieces.
Uh-huh.
Find more information
And
on our
then
website,
I do, because one of my advisors says was that it'd be pretty cool to give like teasers
www.csulb.edu/wgec.
Yeah.
towards every, like, to get them to tune in.
Totally.
This is my commercial for my show.
Quiet on the set. Can we please have quiet on the set?
Hey, I'm Rob Flores, the host of the Golden Spotlight. Join me as I showcase a variety of guests.
I am what they refer to as an exoneree.
Hi, I am Carla Perez, otherwise known as Rita Repulsa, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the television series.
As people have told me before, like, you're really funny, you should try stand-up. And that's probably how every comedian starts.
Took an EMT course 6 months later, and the next thing I know, I was a firefighter.
That I do all my own music videos, I edit my music videos, I write the concepts for the most part, I direct the filming of it, etc. So I have a blast with it.
Every week, someone steps into the spotlight, and it's always a new story. So join me every Monday at 2 p.m. on 22 West Radio. You never know what we have in store.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Golden Spotlight. I'm your host, Rob Flores, here on 22S Radio. You can follow me on social media at Rob Flores Media. You can see every episode that I film on robfloresmedia.com. And since we're doing plugs, how can people find you?
Oh, thanks, Rob. Yeah, Instagram, Mallory, Mallory, Fuccella, Fuccella. Give me a follow. I keep up my Insta stories pretty much all the time.
Cool. Tell us about your website.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, Instagram right now, it is changing the face of everything, right? You can, people are addicted to it because people love hearing and seeing, just snippets of other people, right? And so I especially think, of course there's the platform of bragginess, which I'm not a fan of. But if you can make someone smile or make someone laugh about something you're encountering, I mean, it's like stand up all the time, Yeah, so please Instagram me.
Tell us the name of the website again.
Oh, and it's the Instagram. Is that what you're asking?
Oh, the website.
Oh, yeah, great. You can do that too. It's my full name, which is MalloryJeanFuccella.com.
Can you spell it?
Mm-hmm.
How do you spell
it?
it?
Yeah, I know. I'm also, just side note, I'm transcribing now, so I type audio, so I do know the importance of spelling things over a microphone because it helps me out. Okay. Mallory, Mallory. Jean, Jean, Fuccella, Fuccella.com.
Awesome. So, tell us, you mentioned how, everybody asks themselves after high school, what's next? So, what was that like?
That conversation? Yeah, so, it happens like when you're applying, right? You're applying for colleges, you're looking at programs. I auditioned at a couple of schools in the Northeast. And I landed on University of Pittsburgh, actually. What I liked about it is they had kind of an experimental theater group, so they weren't doing like the big musicals, which is I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do like serious plays. I am a very dramatic actress, that's how I was thinking. And that's exactly what they did, so I was very pleased with that. And I also had like a regular college experience, which was important to me. because I was like, if you're gonna make this decision about being an actor, like, you're gonna be in it your whole life. So, you know, college, you should have, you know, you should do a little bit of college too. Be serious and be focused, but you should also not rush your, you know, that's what I was going through. I was like, don't rush these years, you know, you'll be doing it forever, so have fun, be focused.
Cool. Did you get to be part of like clubs and stuff?
Yeah, I was part of a 24-hour theater festival club. So we would, so basically on a Friday at 6 p.m., writers would come and they'd get a prompt. Oh wait, let me back up. At 4 p.m., 6 p.m., all the actors that signed up would do like a very hilarious 30-second audition. And it was not serious at all. I mean, some people did like, you know, impressions, some people just like cooked, some guy made like 14 peanut butter and jellies in like a minute. Like it's a stupid audition process, but it's fun because it makes your creative juices go. So they would come in, then the writers would cast these actors, and then overnight the writers would write a brand new 10-minute play from about 7 or 8 p.m. to 8 in the morning, right? So they write all night, delirium ensues. Writers go home to sleep, and then the actors and the directors come in, and then they work on these brand new plays all day, and then the show goes up at 8 o'clock at night. So that was for sure my favorite club. Just the spirit of everyone collaborating and creating together, and also taking yourself not so seriously, you know, like it was just a fun outlet for everyone to create something cool.
So was it easy to right away pick your major, or did you struggle for a bit, you know, making your mind up?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I struggled right before like going. Like I think I was going to actually study broadcast journalism and communications at Syracuse in New York, and that was sort of, I was weighing that, and I was weighing Pittsburgh, and I was like, you know, I love doing this, and I applaud you, and I applaud anyone that does it, but I didn't feel the passion that I do for, you know, acting. So that's when I decided. So then when I made up my mind about that, no, I was like, nope, I'm going to declare my major as soon as I can. But I had tons of friends that, you know, switched things, and sorry, that was my water bottle, if that picked up. And that's also okay. And I'm also now, I'm like, you know, people switch. I talk to people that switch their careers in their 40s, you know. I think that's encouraging. That, you know, give everything that you want to your all, and then if it doesn't work out, you know, there's always another plan. Yeah.
Cool. So, afterwards, once you know, did school and all that, did you already, like, get into comedy during school, or how did it?
Oh, yeah. So I got into, like, improv and sketch comedy in college, and that was a blast. And then, okay, no, you'll like this. The first time I did stand-up was my senior year. I lived behind a pizza shop called Papa D's, and they did an open mic night on Sundays. And I knew about it, and I knew I wanted to try it, but I didn't, you know, it took me a while to get the guts. However, Papa D's was about, I don't know, 40 steps from my house. So if it went poorly, I knew I could just go out the back door, no one would see me, go right home, cry, come up with another plan. No, but it was like, it wasn't great, but it was, you know, people listened and people laughed, and it was like, it was awesome. It was so fun. But I didn't actually do stand-up after that until, like, for 2 more years.
Why?
Yeah, I know. So, wait, did you ask why?
Yeah, why?
I don't know. I was thinking, like, I don't know why. I got this other job that had me touring. I got a kids show, so I was touring a kids show, and so when I think this is right timeline-wise, yeah. So that was awesome. I learned how to yo-yo. I'm also a professional yo-yoer. Did you know that, Rob?
Cool.
Yeah. So I got that job, and then they actually moved me from Pittsburgh to Cincinnati. Okay, and then I was like, wow, I'm doing this awesome yo-yo show. I'm performing for kids every day. This is a blast. And then at night, it was kind of like, okay, what do I do now? You know, all through college, my nights were kind of filled with theater activities or friends, like, and now all of a sudden I'm in a new city, and I'm, you know, don't know anyone, trying to come up with a hobby. And so that's when I really started stand-up.
How did the yo-yo show stuff, how did you get into all that?
So yeah, I was like looking for, so again, sort of that same conversation I had with myself senior year of high school, I had again senior year of college, where I was like, am I really gonna go for this? Am I really gonna do it? So I was looking for auditions, and I saw this audition for a children's, they called it an edutainer. So it was like an educational entertainer. I've always liked kids, so I was like, look into that. So I looked into it, sent my resume and stuff, you know, got a call. It was a very long audition process and conversation, but about 3 steps into it, they sent me 2 yo-yos. So yeah, if you're, the origin is that I found it on playbill.com. Playbill and Backstage for any actors that are listening out there, if you don't know already, but I'm sure they do. Yeah, so that's where I saw the original ad. And then they sent me yo-yos. I worked my butt off on how to learn the yo-yo. At my summer job after college, I did get a job at a gyro stand, or a gyro, a Greek meat stand. So I was serving lunches there just to pay my rent, and I also had these yo-yos, and so I would have people come up and they'd be like, "Hey, how's that walk the dog trick coming? You getting it?" So I'd have regulars come for lunch, and I'd serve them their sandwich. They'd pay me, and then I would do a couple yo-yo tricks. But it probably took about, I think the company wanted, I think they gave me 3 or 4 weeks to really learn the yo-yo. So yeah, and I did get pretty good. Got pretty good. So then they hired me, and then they moved me from Pittsburgh to Cincinnati.
And we'll be right back.
Awesome, it was so fun.
Hey, do you like movies and television? If you do, why don't you tune in to 22 West Radio at 10 a.m. on Tuesdays to listen to the Theater Lobby with your host, Victor Wright, and he'll tell you all about those movies and television that you love. See you then!
Looking for ways to make a little extra cash? Organize a recycling team in your neighborhood where you can go around and collect recyclables and bring them over to the CSUOB ASI Recycling Center, where they will pay you for your recyclable items. Our award-winning state-certified recycling facility saves on average the energy to power a TV 24/7 for 55 years, as well as 7,400 gallons of gasoline, 213,000 gallons of water, and 520 trees. It's a win-win situation. So gather up your recyclables today and turn them in for that chunk of change that will allow you to splurge enough to turn that burger into a combo. For more information and offering hours, email them at asi-recycling@csuob.edu.
It does, really fast.
Affordable, professional, and located on the second floor of West Street. Electric Hair has all of your nail and hair needs covered. For an appointment, call 562-958-4522. That's 562-958-4522.
Oh, it made her nervous?
Yeah, it made her nervous. So when I played commercials, she claimed that she left her book somewhere. And she never came back.
Growing up, I was a huge wrestling fan.
That's a hilarious
I'm still a
story,
kid
though.
right
That's
now.
so good.
And, well, what you may not know
She
is
just left,
wrestlers
but
are
she was
also
doing
in
fine.
Comedians,
Fine.
actors, and more.
And then she's
And
like,
I'll tell you all
"Is this
about
live?"
it. Tune in every Thursday at
forgot
10
my book
a.m.
somewhere.
to Beyond the Ropes
Oh my
on
gosh.
22 West Radio.
And we are back here on the Golden Spotlight. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to 22 West Radio. So, again, if you're just listening, 22 West Radio, this show in particular, the Golden Spotlight, is an interview show. An interview show where every week I have a different guest, and you have the opportunity to listen to their story. So, going back to after transitioning from, the yo-yo, what happened afterwards?
Transitioning from the yo-yo. That could be the title of my memoir. So I actually have to go backwards a little bit. So I was in Cincinnati for about 2 years, and that's when I started stand-up because I was so sad and so lonely. And I wanted to do something productive that was kind of in theater. I was missing theater a lot. Even though I was performing for kids, there was definitely a little bit of a void. So I started doing stand-up, and that scene in Cincinnati is really good, and the guys are really good, and they work really hard. So that's, there's like a couple guys out there that are really awesome and very encouraging. And plus my job put me on the road a lot. So I was touring all through the country. So I would actually, do that kids show, but I'd also put myself on stand-up shows where I could, DC, Nashville, Detroit, Minneapolis, Phoenix. So yeah, the job sent me all over. So I kind of booked some smaller comedy things while I still, did my yo-yo show. So it really worked out. I was like really performing, as much as I wanted, just in a different capacity than I thought, which I think is a really good lesson too. Like, I'd be like, wow, I was on stage twice today. That was always my dream, but yet I was still like, not satisfied. I still want more, but that's human nature. You just want to, you keep wanting and wanting. But that's my like piece of advice. My wise words, Rob. That you will keep, like, it might not be exactly what you picture, and you're gonna want more. And I'm still working on this of just being like satisfied with what I've had and where I've gotten. Okay, sorry, I digress.
And so like, how does obviously the process for like comedy and stuff, there's writing behind it and all.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into that to learn to master how to like write your jokes and stuff like that?
Yeah, no, it's still learning. That's a really, really good question. Still learning. What helped was that I was traveling all the time, and I think when you are constantly in new or uncomfortable situations, you're more observant because you're either by yourself or you're just kind of taking it all in. So being that observant, it really helped me just like fine tune picking specific things either about people or situations that either could be turned funny or they already were funny. Some of my jokes they actually happened, things that people have said, and you say it on stage and people can't believe it. I'm like, no, in Alabama that definitely happened. So that's kind of where it started, and now I think that's the way to keep doing it. I think everyone does it a little differently, but definitely continuing to put yourself into uncomfortable or new situations is a good way to go about it.
So like writing jokes, like what is it like writer's block and all that?
Yeah, that's tough. I think that makes me sad because everyone goes through it. I don't even know. Yeah, I think what I hear and what I think I'm trying to do is just to keep going, just to keep doing it. John Mulaney has he's hilarious, but he also said something very wise. He said, writing is writing and not writing is not writing. So I kind of love that. So if you're not, and I don't even stick to that, I'm not even taking my own advice or his advice that I should be taking. But yeah, if you think about it that way, you're not always going to come up with a great gem or of a joke, or even like novelists go through this with like their next page. They don't know what's going to happen. But if you're writing through things, maybe there's going to be a nugget, or if you're just clearing the junk out of your head, it might help. But yeah, writer's block, that sucks. Sorry, I said a bad word. Also, watching comedy helps for like stand-up writer's block, I feel like. Just because you can see how people either get out of a joke or got into a joke, and then you can be like, oh, that's a very similar thing that happened to me, but I'm not going to tell it at all like that. So that's definitely helpful, observing. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Your resume also mentions like Second City. Tell us about Second City.
Oh yeah, so I did Second City improv and sketch comedy writing. So that was also where I was like, I do like doing improv, but I like writing more because you can craft it. Improv is very team-based, which is awesome, but you never know where it's going to go. And I do like a little bit of a plan. I'm not like, this like hippie artist that just kind of like, I like structure.
And for those that aren't aware, what is Second City?
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Also hippie artists are great. it's not the way my blood, or the way I was born. So Second City is, a huge comedy training center in Chicago, started in Chicago. There is one in Hollywood, though, that they do offer classes and intensives. You can get on their email. They've got tons of free workshops. People like Tina Fey, Steve Carell, Stephen Colbert, they've all come out of the Second City Training Center. So now, granted, I'm not a graduate of the program, but I did take some intensives there and learned a whole heck of a lot.
Awesome. Tell us, how did you, get in there? Like, did you have a friend that started there, or how did it go?
I had heard about it, and honestly, my plan before the yo-yo thing happened, my plan was maybe to go to Second City and do the graduate training program there. So it was always on my brain, but in college, I filled a summer with it, so I could really test it out and see if it was something that I wanted. Yeah, no, I didn't have a friend do it. No, I just had heard about it, and it seemed right up my alley. And I mean, if you're in Chicago, and like I said, out here in Hollywood, there's classes you can take all the time. Awesome. And those are not that expensive. I mean, if you're budgeting, you can do it.
Tell us about it, because I remember I did take an acting class. I loved it, but obviously, the counselors are like, only take the classes that are your major. It's like, oh, but acting's fun. But,
yeah.
But it's funny because I preferred the part where you just get your script and you memorize it and you just do the performance.
Mm-hmm.
But I would get bored because there was the other parts to it, the mini games, the stuff you do in a circle, and I would never memorize stuff. Like there was one where they throw you a ball and you have to know the other person's name in order to throw it to them. I'm like, I don't know any of these names.
That's okay, Rob, because you're killing it in the radio game. That's so funny. I bet you, one of my friends just said, they're like, how do you remember everyone's names? They said that because at a party or whatever, I'll try to do that. It's probably those classes, those silly ball games in acting class. Yeah. That's so funny. No, it's definitely not for everyone.
I remember there was another mini game where we're in a circle and you have to do something silly or something, right?
And say.
But you have to know, still, again, the name, right? You do something silly, you point at them, you say their name. The only difference is they have to mimic what you just did and then invent their own thing. And then whoever they point at has to mimic that and then create their original one.
We should play just the two of us right now.
But it was so funny because one guy busted out some Street Fighter.
Okay.
So he did something random like that, being a video game character.
That's hilarious. That's great though, right? Everyone gets a little bit uncomfortable. That's a great thing. I get a little uncomfortable. Yeah. That's so funny. Oh, you took one acting. I love it. I love it.
But tell us about how did you get your name out there?
First of all, I am very impressed the way you found me. So, but I do, so I'm doing a lot of stand-up in LA. I do a monthly show at the Comedy Store. I'm hosting a show down in Redondo Beach. So that's sort of my avenue right now, is just meeting comedians and kind of doing what you're doing right now, is like, hey, how did you get to this point, right? And just sort of working that way. I do have a web series out too that I need to plug. And I thought that's actually where you might have found me first, because the most of any of my stuff, I feel like that has the most following.
And that's also on the website? Or?
It is on the website. Well, the video is, but the link is not. So it's adultingwebseries.com. It's all about really right after college, becoming an adult and having to deal with all those funky things like bills.
And so let's start off with even comedy clubs. How do you get booked at comedy clubs? How does it go? Did you have to know somebody to get in the comedy club?
Another good question. I think so. First of all, open mics. If there's any aspiring comics out there, there's a site, LA Comedy Bureau. They list all the open mics for the whole week, and Flappers Comedy Club does an open audition. So that's where when I first moved, I did that one. So now I only had 2 or 3 years of stand-up, but I went to their audition, and then they put me on 3 or 4 shows. And then from there, I believe, is how I got the Comedy Store. But it's really just putting yourself out there and going to the mics, which I need to be better at. I am not. There's it's LA, man, so there's 7 mics a night. Granted, you have to drive, there's parking, sometimes there's you have to buy a drink or a snack or something. So there's that involved. And sometimes they're across town. But anyway, getting up is the most important thing. LA Comedy Bureau.com.
Tell us, have you ever had, a bad night? How did that go?
Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad, Rob.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Because it's not, I feel like in plays and stuff, I've had bad nights. and maybe the audience notices, maybe they don't. The thing about stand-up is it's you. So, and like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm a people pleaser, and if it doesn't go well, I have to get better at this. I take it personally, and I can't take it personally. Sometimes there's off nights, sometimes I'm off, sometimes I don't feel like being there. Maybe they can sense that, you know what I mean? Just because I'm tired or something. But it hurts. But you have to it has to happen, right? And you just have to kind of let it happen. I'm getting better at that. So basically now, if I tell a joke and it doesn't land, I used to just go right into the next joke to like not even let anyone notice that it bombed. Now, I just don't do anything. You know, some comedians will joke about it, which I should probably do. But I will just let it sit and just let it get pretty uncomfortable for everybody. And then either make a comment or just move on to the next thing. Because here's the thing. There's a lot of psychology involved too. If it's too silent for too long, someone's going to do something. Generally, it's the person with the microphone. But sometimes it's some guy in the back or a group of girls like chittering, you know what I mean? So something will happen eventually if you keep it silent enough. But then it's not stand-up. Then you're just doing social experiments on stage. I'm just kidding.
And how long are comedy sets usually? And like, what's the longest you've been on stage?
It varies. Longest I've been on stage is 20 minutes, which is a lot, believe it or not. And that's not a good 20. I could maybe do a good 20 now, maybe. But generally the mics are 3 to 5. It's different in every city, but LA 3 to 5 minutes. And then if you get friends or you get on a show, sometimes you'll get 8 or 10. The 10-minute mark. Once you start getting 10 consistently, you kind of know you're like, okay, I'm getting this. Cool. Yeah, but generally I would say 3 to 5. And if you're like, oh, I just kind of want to try it, you can write 25 seconds. You could go up at an open mic and do one joke and then get off the stage if you wanted to.
Who are some comedians that have inspired you?
Oh man, such a good question, and I never am prepared for it. Let's see. I mentioned John Mulaney, so I have to go with him first. I'm not gonna put him in order, but definitely John Mulaney, Tom Segura and his wife Christina Pazitsky. They are awesome. They perform at the Comedy Store a lot. I've been on a show with her, and she's fantastic. And they're, a married couple with a kid, but they're doing stand-up too, and I love that. I'm very inspired by them having both worlds. Let me see here. Sarah Silverman, of course. Kyle Kinane is hilarious. He's doing a lot of tours now. Yeah, that's a pretty good list right now. I gotta prepare for that one because I get asked it all the time, and I never know what to say.
Cool. So tell us, how about like upcoming stuff? Do you have upcoming stuff coming up?
Yeah, I do. I've got, and that's on my website too. I'll just plug that again. How about that?
Okay.
My website is Mallory, MALLORY, JEANFUCCELLA.com. So I list all my shows there. Coming up, I've got the show in Redondo. At the Slip Bar and Eatery. That's at July 22nd. Insane comedians are coming to that. I can't believe it. Like, just a couple people from late night. Anyway, very excited. Anyone is welcome. It's a free show. And then I've got a show in August, but I'm actually going to Australia for the other kids show. No more yo-yos, but the other kids show that I do. Yeah.
All right. Tell us about the other kids show.
Yeah. So it's a multimedia magic show, a little bit of singing, and it's all about the messages, treating people that are different from you with kindness. It's very sweet. It's a 45-minute show, which is also why I was like, okay, 45 minutes in front of kids. I think I could do, maybe not 45 in front of adults yet, but I could stand up in front of adults and do some comedy. Anyway, so yeah, we tour all over. I've done, hundreds at this point, hundreds of shows. I see about 3,000 kids a week. So this is my day job right now. Yeah, which is pretty cool. And that also sends me all over. And yeah, we do magic and magic and singing and inspiring kids to be nice to one another because Lord knows we need that.
Cool. So before I forget, because these two questions I always ask my guests, where do you see yourself after retirement?
Whoa, Rob, the heavy hitter. Oh my gosh, the retirement. I think I'm going to be dead by the time my retirement age. Okay, that's a joke. No, let me see. Okay, what I'd like, I would probably like to have a family. So I would like to probably be sitting on a patio with my husband, a large glass of red wine, looking at, maybe like a vineyard in Italy. That's really big dreaming. But even, I love California. Maybe just on a patio in California with a husband and children that don't bother me.
How about your legacy? What do you want your legacy to be?
Another good question. This is a big question, Rob, because I feel like I'm really going to be a little well, I've been honest the whole time, but you know, stand-up brings people together, right? And people laugh, and I think that's incredible, and that's why I like it. I think it bonds people and it unites people. Sometimes, though, it can either you're making fun of something, or as the stand-up, you're making fun of yourself. And so I just wish that wasn't the case sometimes, and I need to get better at that. So I would like my legacy to be you know, that people were like, yeah, she was cool and kind, and she brought people together. That's a pretty good answer, yeah? Cool. Off the cuff, that's what I'd like.
So, I know we went back and forth, like, different aspects, but I also do what's, like, kind of like a timeline, like, all the jobs that you've had leading up to where you are also.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, during school, did you also have, like, other jobs, or did you right away get into the kids' shows? Or
No, totally. I've been working since I was 14. My first job ever was at a Mexican restaurant called California Tortilla. So, oh yeah, and we would have to, what did we have to do? When there was a new customer, we had to like do a dance and ring a bell. So really put my theatrics into that one. And then, so that was in middle school. High school and through college, I worked at a country club as a server. Have a lot of stories from there. That was for a while. That was a good job. You know, did weddings and banquet server, good friends too. And then in college, I worked, when I was in Pittsburgh, I worked at the Children's Museum of Pittsburgh for a little bit, which was a blast, playing with kiddos with like ice and other things that, you know, was really fun. That was a fun job. And then, I did that for 2 years. And then right out of college, I started working at that gyro stand. It was fast cash. It needed to happen. And then from the gyro, I really, really went from rags to riches. I went from the gyro stand to the yo-yo. And then to the yo-yo, to the magic show, to now, August, you know, maybe have me back in a year. I don't know what's next. It's exciting.
Now, tell us about your parents and, in general, your family's reaction when you just decided, you know, I'm going to do comedy.
Yeah. They're supportive, so I'll say that first. They're supportive. I'm pretty sure my mom thinks it's a bad idea. And I think my dad is like, yeah, give it a shot. I think you should give it a shot. So, you know, I talk to them almost every day. I think they know how badly I want it, and so I think they're just, you know, like parents are generally worried about my happiness. So I try to, I don't know, I guess I don't try to tell them everything just because they'll either worry or whatever. But the other thing is too, I have to remind myself they didn't come from this world. They didn't go to these other classes throughout their lives, you know what I mean? I know I'm younger than them, but I've known about the world of acting and comedy for a long time, right? So it's the perspective thing. I don't think they have the perspective that I do, and I have to understand that, and that's okay. Yeah, but if I started getting really bad, or, you know, okay, we don't have to go there. They're supportive.
Did they tell you stories of like when they were growing up, or what?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, they're each one of five. So my mom's one of five, and my dad's one of five, and they grew up very separately. They're just very different worlds. My mom actually moved out to San Diego from the East Coast when she was 20, and so she lived out in San Diego for about 7 years, and that was very inspiring. And also she was like, yeah, I wanted to live my own life. And I'm like, Mother, we are more alike than you think. And then my dad moved around a lot, and then finally they were in New York, and then his dad and mom moved to Pennsylvania. So then he stayed in Pennsylvania. What was the question was about their stories growing up. Yeah, no, they're both hilarious. They are. They're not stand-ups, but they're both very funny people, and they make me laugh every day.
So I know that in comedy, you mentioned, one cracks jokes, one jokes about themselves, and then there's the one where what's it called? Roasting. What do you think about roasting?
So this makes me think maybe I can't be a stand-up. I think it's all in good fun, so I will say that. I don't think I could, let's see. No, I could take it. I think because I've got some guy friends that are very funny, and if they roasted me, they would be hilarious. Rob, I don't think I can do it. I really don't. I talk to kids. I've seen so many kids, and I've literally said the opposite thing for years, right? I've said, be nice, and, keep working, never give up, and that's really, I want to believe that in everyone. There are some comedians I don't like, so if I had the opportunity to roast them, I might be able to come up with something. But in general, I really don't like it. I really don't. I don't think it's in the spirit of what comedy is. I really don't, because I think comedy should not tear people apart. Although it's funny, I laugh. I mean, those roast battles are funny. Hilarious. I laugh for sure. I just don't know if I could do it. I really don't. And do you watch Crashing at all?
Crashing? I've never heard that.
It's really good. It's Pete Holmes' show on HBO, and they have a scene about this, or an episode actually, about roasting. Him and his girlfriend are both stand-ups, and they actually end up on stage together, and they have to roast each other for a competition. And she's very much fine. She's digging at him, and then he's throwing back because he's actually upset. He was, a Christian boy, and he's actually hurt, so he's coming back with these really good one-liners. It's awesome. The battle's great, and then they go outside, and unlike you'd think, the girl's like, Pete, yo, that was awesome, and Pete's actually his feelings were really hurt. And she's like, this is a joke. This is just a joke. What are you, even a real comedian? So they actually have almost this exact conversation. He's like, I don't want to do that to people. Yeah, so it's a very good show.
Yeah, because I saw Roast Battle a year ago or something like that.
Do you
I was
like it?
Oh, I didn't know that exists. I didn't know that was a form of comedy.
I guess it definitely helps you to write because you're coming up with all new material about one topic instead of your life or whatever your whatever your brand is. So that's cool. That I would do it for that, just for the writing exercise. But I don't think I could. I don't know though.
Another thing I noticed is, me and my little sister will always watch America's Got Talent, and we're always rooting for either a magician or a comedian.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
And I remember my sister was like, how come the comedian didn't win? He came in second place, and the other one was just has a puppet. And she was very upset. She's like, how did the comedian lose?
Aww.
Or I think his name was Preacher Lawson. We're I thought Preacher Lawson was gonna win.
That's such a shame. No, there needs to be. Yes, he should have won.
Yeah, so
he should have won. How old's your sister?
She's already 15.
15, and it's you and your brother out there.
You're
the oldest.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've got a lot to look up to. You're killing the game.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. 100%. Your brother's very nice. He's graduating this year too, or
well, another year still. He has also community college.
Okay.
But yeah, so
very nice.
You mentioned earlier about how your siblings went totally different ways with interests. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So Renee is down in Orlando, Florida, and she works at SeaWorld currently. She was a marine biology major, very smart. I can't even tell you how smart she was. I remember at dinner once. I got a bad grade on a test, and Renee got a great grade. And I was upset about it, and, as living in the shadows of older siblings. But, yeah, and so my mom was like, well, Mallory, you have other talents. And I'm like, what? It's it was a compliment, but it also felt kind of well, what? What are my other talents? Just talking into a microphone, yelling at people about why I have anxiety and making them laugh. But no. I was very much more social. She's kind of introverted, kind of shy, but very hard worker and very smart. I was more of the black sheep and kind of going this way and going everywhere. And then Den is an engineer. So, I mean, we've got two very smart people and a third intelligent, but maybe not smart. That's me. Because I think there's a difference between intelligence and smartness, You can read a bunch and know a lot. But if you can't, I don't know.
Has your family seen you on stage?
They just did. Well, stand-up wise, they just did. They've seen, obviously, other things, and they saw the kids' show. But they just came out. I had a show at the Comedy Store in June, and they came out for it. It was dynamite. I held back on, I got a few jokes about them. I held back, even though they were cute. They were like, "You can joke about us, yeah? What do you have?" Like, and I was like, I didn't want them to feel uncomfortable. So, I held back from those jokes. But yeah, I did. Yeah, it was a good night and a good set. Yeah, and I think afterwards they were, like your question earlier about how do they feel about it. I think when they saw it in action a little bit, they were maybe like, oh, okay, all right, I can see how this might pay off one day in 40 years. Just kidding.
Do you ever get like a rude audience member or something like that?
Yeah, like a heckler or someone that doesn't care.
Yeah, because I remember one of the comedians I interviewed, she mentioned how like sometimes like someone will interrupt us because they want to feel a part of it or something like that.
Mm-hmm. The key is to call them out, because once they're called out, they shut down. They usually don't want the spotlight unless they're really drunk. Can I say that on there? Yeah, sorry. Which definitely happens more. And then you're dealing with a whole other situation. But yeah, calling them out, and then if you can come up with a joke about them, about, see, this is where the roast battle would come into play. If you just ask them where they're from or what their name is, and be, make a joke about it. That's the best way to handle it.
Cool. Where do you see yourself next? What is the next goal?
Next goal is to, it'll be the first time I'm in LA full time, so that's exciting. So I've been on the road. So being in LA full time is really goal one, is to figure that out. And then it's now to work in the acting world more, and going on auditions and getting a spot somewhere.
Another thing I hear is how, like, in order to be on camera and stuff, there's all these union stuff, this technical stuff. Like, how does that work out?
Yeah, so there's the Screen Actors Guild for actors. There's also the Directors Guild of America, the Producers Guild of America. So once you're working in the big leagues, you have to be a union member. So that's any TV show you're watching on television or any big movie. Now there's non-union projects that still pay you, and honestly, that's the way to go right now, especially for, I feel like, your listeners, for myself. There's just a ton of people out here making work, and that they do have money for you, and you get your video together. The goal is to be a union member, because then you get benefits, and then you're really a working actor. So if you have a project, if you only have one project in 1 year, you'll be okay. That's sort of the way it goes. So that's definitely the goal, but you do have to put in. So you either have to put in a ton of hours and then get lucky on one huge project, or like one small project and get points. There's a point system, and then you can join. You can buy into the union after a certain amount of points. And then I think if anyone sees this and is like, "What the heck is she talking?" This is from my knowledge of it. And then, or there is always a chance that you'll go in an audition, and they'll be like, well, this is SAG, Screen Actors Guild. So this is SAG, so if you want this job, you actually have to sign the union today. And that can be a huge, that can be a huge discussion that you should have with close people.
What tips do you have for people that want to pursue the same thing you're doing?
It's so funny, because I feel like, first of all, if you think you want to do it and you have it, go for it. And I know that's what everyone says, but I really mean that. I'm much happier pursuing this and going after something than deciding to do something else that I would still be mediocre at and mildly happy. I really am much happier knowing that I'm pursuing. So that's the first thing. And the second, there's nothing wrong with, that's horrible advice. There's nothing wrong with giving up. But I think there's so much pressure in our world today, and especially with social media, about proving yourself and proving how you're doing, and that you got to let that stuff go, I think. And again, this is me. This is, like I said, therapy, Rob. Thank you. I have to let some of that stuff go too, like just being satisfied with where you're at and keeping on going if it's really in you and you really want it.
Cool. And we are down to our last minute. The time goes by so fast.
I can't believe it. I could talk to you forever.
Yeah. What closing statement do you have, for our audience members?
Oh, just be nice. Be nice to everyone and pursue what you want, and try to make people smile if you can and make them laugh.
Cool. I think it's cool that you're able to balance, two different worlds, working with kids and entertainment. Like, it's a shame that we only have 1 minute.
I was going to say, it's been challenging. There's been definitely, it's been challenging for sure. Because there's things I want to joke about that aren't appropriate for kids.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be here on the show.
100%.
Hopefully, in the future, we'll book you again to be on the show soon.
Sounds great, Rob. Thank you so much.